Today, I'm talking to Nancy. Nancy had been on keto for about 2 years and was doing quite well. Then one day, she had a sudden swelling with her lip that a doctor diagnosed as angioedema. Following this incident, Nancy went cold turkey into carnivore. Having been on carnivore now for 6 months, let's find out what's changed for Nancy. How did you find the carnivore diet?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. I'm 50 years old this year, but when I was 48, I went to my endocrinologist, which is part of the whole health history, and he told me that I had pre-diabetes. And I completely told him he was wrong because I also was gluten-free because I was diagnosed with celiac 10 years prior. And I said, no. I eat healthier than most people I know, and I work out. How could I have high blood sugar? And he laughed, kind of, sort of, and said, no, you have high blood sugar. And the only thing that happened, and I love my doctor dearly, is he gave me a copy paper that said diet and exercise. And then he circled a pancreas and showed an unhappy face of a pancreas and said, your pancreas isn't working right. Probably genetics because you've always been thin, but you need to change what you're doing. And that was basically the only guidance I had. So I pretty much freaked out because I don't want to chop off toes and fingers and limbs. I'm too active. I have too much stuff to do. I don't really sit still very well, which is a problem. Whole nother topic. Need to relax more. But the thought of taking medication. Oh, and he wanted to prescribe a medication too that begins with an M. And I didn't want to do it. I took the prescription. I started the prescription. I felt terrible same day. But the same exact day, I started researching frantically online of what I could do with this for this pre-diabetes thing. And that's when I found, if it's okay to say, I found Dr. Berg's channel and immediately went cold turkey into the healthy keto lifestyle. And I monitored my blood sugar. I had a continuous monitor. My blood sugar was high for a little bit, not outrageously high, but too high, even eating a bite of a gluten piece of bread, just skyrocketed. So after I got that under control, then I started learning about fasting again through all the different keto channels that I would follow. Then I did that for about a year and a half, and I said, great, I'm cured. But then one fine day, we're waiting for the Super Bowl to happen. I think it was probably end of February, March of this year. I'm not good with sports. And I'm sitting there, and I felt my face start to swell. And then it started to hurt, and my lip got really big. And I looked at my husband, and I said, did my face just swell? And he looked at me and said, yes, it did. My lip was about twice its size. My cheek was out to here. It was burning hot. And then I started to flip out again. Urgent care, I thought it was a bug bite. Okay, they gave me prednisone, fine. Fast forward, 2 weeks later, it happened again. This time it was worse. The urgent care doctor told me, that is no bug bite, honey. That's something called angioedema. And there could be a genetic reason for it. It could be an autoimmune problem, but it's not a bug bite. So then I went down the research rabbit hole again, came across your channel, Dave, a lot of the carnivore channels, Dr. Berry, who transitioned from keto to carnivore as well, Dr. Chafee talking about autoimmune issues. So in parallel, I went cold turkey carnivore the same week-ish, as I was doing all the regular medical tests to see if this was autoimmune, hereditary, or idiopathic, which is of an unknown nature. So that is the long answer as to how I got into carnivore.
Wow.
Sorry,
And
I know.
no. Well, a lot has happened to you in the space of what, 2 years?
Yes. And in fact, I wrote down, Dave, it looks like every 10 years since I was 27, something major happens. And that also tells me it's got to be our diet. If it's got to be the genetic, what is the saying? You might have heard it. The gun is your genetics and the bullet is what you put in your body.
Yeah, I
So
hadn't heard
the
that one, but that's a
triggers.
good one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it. I mean, I had
Yeah.
thyroid cancer when I was 27. There were recurrences. I had an open liver surgery, 18 inches long, for no reason because they couldn't find where it was spreading to. Then that got resolved, and then I was diagnosed with celiac, and I thought I was really living healthily, working out 7 days a week, 2 hours at a time in the gym, and I was still sick.
So, I've got a lot of questions about the kind of things you just shared, but what I do want to know is health wise. Oh, well,
Mhm.
sorry, just to get the time frames first.
Mhm.
So cold turkey carnivore was when?
March of 2023 of this year.
March 2023.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's what, about 6 months.
Yes, that sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So in
Mhm.
that 6 months, how has your health changed, whether it's physical health, mental health?
Sure. So definitely the blood sugar is even better than ever. I really am not hungry, so I don't even feel the need to stuff my face with a gluten-free, alleged gluten-free cauliflower pizza. Um, Definitely more energy. I did yard work all summer. I was off for the summer and I was going 10 hours a day, shoveling clay soil, wheelbarrows. I didn't sunburn. I have naturally darker skin, but I would burn for years. So I avoided the sun because it's allegedly not good for you. And this year, after the last year or two of research that I've done, forget it. I go in the sun. I don't wear any SPF. I didn't wear out energy wise. Took my electrolytes because it was hot, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, my hair was thinning, even on keto, I have to admit, it was thinning. And I was like, oh no, is this normal? But starting carnivore, I have this wad of hair in the back that's just like a lion's mane. So for all the women that are listening, given I don't have a thyroid anymore, I do have to take a medication to replace the natural thyroid hormone. I don't have a choice. I'd rather not, but I have no choice. My skin, I'm getting compliments on my skin for the first time in my life. Um, but I'd say energy wise, I've always been high energy, but the endurance is better. I can go longer, farther, harder than people have my age.
Nice. And so, you look pretty slim. Have you always been pretty around that kind of weight? Like carnivore didn't
Yeah.
do anything for your weight?
Oh, actually, I will say with keto, I lost the inflammation puff that I didn't realize I had. And looking back at pictures, even from 3 years ago, I said, what the heck is wrong with you? I was just so puffy, and it was probably from too many carbs. So keto took off about 7 pounds of the puff. I didn't really need to lose any more weight. But on carnivore, I lost another 7 pounds of something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so let me go by memory here. If I were to give you a number, I'd say on keto, I was about 127, 128, and I'm 5'5". And then one day, just I never weigh myself. I just so happen to know that. And I said, what the heck? My husband weighs himself every day. Let me jump on that scale after about a month of carnivore. And I was down to 120, but I'm not starving myself. I'm eating more protein than ever with one big old ribeye a day, basically.
Nice. Um, so the what you listed there, that's
Mm-hmm.
some awesome improvements and in just 6 months. Um, has there been any improvement related to things like sleep, mood,
Mm-hmm.
clarity of thinking, anything like that?
Definitely clarity of thinking because I felt I was struggling. And looking back, it was partially the blood sugar. You know, why am I tired? Why can't I think straight? Why can't I remember? Um, but in terms of the same stamina endurance theme, I am able to think much more clearer,
Oh,
however we say
nice.
that. Um, I think life is very stressful anyway, but I tend to naturally be happy to the point where I annoy people, but it doesn't mean I don't feel stress or that I don't get anxious, right? Um, and I will say what I didn't recognize as anxiety has gone down. Long story short, we have an adult autistic in our home. He's my stepson, and that can be very stressful. But now I have a better tolerance for everyone in my life, including my coworkers. Everyone's jumping off their chairs. Oh, so and so annoys me, and so is a control freak. And I just say, it's just not worth it. It's not worth getting upset about. If he wants to put, the color in red on the slide, then put it in red. Like, what are we getting? We're wasting an hour getting upset over nothing.
That's really interesting because that's the kind of I kind of describe it myself as an ability because I would just get into all those things before. You can't have red. That's going to look ridiculous. Everyone's going to think there's something dangerous about this or whatever.
Right.
But now, I guess similar to what you're saying, I'm more able to kind of take a step back and just go, you know what? Who cares? What does, in the grand scheme of things, does this really matter?
Yes,
And
exactly.
pick your battles is probably a good way of saying it, right?
Yes, absolutely. And being able to de-escalate yourself, and it almost permeates to the others around you. Because in that exact scenario I gave you, the other person just, their arguing and upsetness just died because I wasn't feeding into it. Not on purpose out of being mean or I didn't want to engage in conversation or, hey, I hear you. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. But I'm not, it's not, let's get upset about something else. Like, let's get upset about the food that we're eating. Let's get upset about the chemicals and the crap and the advertisements. And Dave, I wrote down for you, I never sit to watch TV. All right. But I'm a true crime fan, like huge. You name the case, I know it. And I was watching my true crime. I counted 8 commercials here in the United States for type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart, cholesterol, and everybody, if you haven't seen it, don't watch it because you'll flip out. They're dancing and singing, wearing colorful outfits, celebrating the fact that they're injecting and ingesting all of these medications with a black box warning or the warnings that say can cause stroke and heart attack and Alzheimer's, and you could die tomorrow if you take this pill, but just take it and talk to your doctor. And that's the end of the commercial. In 1 hour. Yeah. It's disheartening.
I've only spent a very short time, about 3 months in the US, but I can't really get over the fact that pharmaceutical companies can advertise medicines on TV or in other kinds of media, because I guess you can probably do it on the internet internationally, but like you can't do it on TV in Australia. You can't do it on TV in Japan.
I heard that.
Wow. It's yeah. It's so many as well. It's like just push. No, very few ads saying, put the Twinkie down. It's all
absolutely.
Have the Twinkie, enjoy your life, and just inject yourself with this.
Yes, just inject yourself and keep eating and and it's not necessarily in my mind about weight or vanity, but the weight begets the problems on the joints, right? And your heart works faster, and it all just culminates into one big mess. And I just say, knock on wood, my mom says, thank God your father was skinny, right? Because my mother's side of the family has a weight problem. A lot of it's food, don't get me wrong. But they're naturally bigger people in general, genetically. And so maybe I was blessed in one regard, but I've also tried to eat healthy my whole life. And look what happened. What I thought was healthy in the food pyramid, totally wrong.
Yeah. So on that topic, what is your day of eating like? You mentioned a ribeye. How many times are you eating, and what kinds of foods?
I usually eat once a day. And it doesn't mean sometimes I'm not hungry twice, but once a day. Ribeye is my favorite. I will drive to the store and be the first one there when they go on sale and take them all and put them in my freezer. So that's my favorite. If I want a breakfast versus a dinner, which tends to be my first meal of the day between 4 and 6 p.m., I'll make you a recipe, Dave, of the ground beef with eggs and add a tiny bit of cheese. So I feel like it's a treat. And it tastes almost to me like macaroni and cheese if I make it that way. I don't know what you think. It kind of tastes like macaroni and cheese.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of salt, pepper, hamburgers, not necessarily just ground up in an actual burger, with either keto mayo, I admit. So maybe carnivore, Dave, it's like 99.999% carnivore, but I'll make either carnivore mayo or my homemade keto mayo, not store-bought stuff, if that makes sense.
And how do you make that?
One egg,
Uh-huh.
1 cup of olive oil. I like extra light olive oil. You can use extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, whatever you want. Little tiny bit of vinegar or lemon juice. I add a little salt, a little pepper, and an immersion blender, that stick blender.
Yeah.
And you just put it in the cup or a jar that has a lid, but it's easier. You just rev it up and it's good to go. And the carnivore is made from tallow. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah. So what else do I? Hard-boiled eggs, no veggies. I don't even want it. To everyone's point out in the carnivore world, I never said, "Ooh, yay, give me a bushel of boiled Brussels sprouts from the can." Yum.
I can't understand why you wouldn't enjoy those.
I know, right? Not even with bacon. Like I don't want it. Let's be honest,
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but just on that point, when you're dressing something up to make it taste good by putting bacon, salt and pepper and cheese and mayonnaise and all sorts of things on top of it, maybe the thing you're dressing up is not the thing you should be eating.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody ever woke up in the morning saying, "You know what I could really go for? Really go for that." No. And I have family that's very worried that I'm going to drop dead tomorrow, right? From eating animal proteins. I don't care for fish. Otherwise, Dave, I'd eat it. I really just don't care for it. I never did. I never outgrew that. So it's mostly beef, not even chicken. Chicken I've had once since I started carnivore, and I would choke it down during keto. So my body just loves beef. Give me a big fat ribeye any day, and I'm happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, how are you coordinating this? You're living with, you mentioned your stepson, so you're living with your husband as well. Is he doing the same thing, or are you kind of just doing your own thing?
No, he's doing it
carnivore too. Oh,
yes,
wow.
Dave. He did keto because he had no choice because I'm the cook, right? And then once he learned and felt the value of keto, because he also had high A1C for a number of years. It was always that border, hey, you better be careful. Major sweet tooth. You don't let him smell a piece of cake. I have to hide food in the house. When the company is coming, I have to hide it or it's gone. All right. But then I looked into the carnivore thing and he's like, yeah, you know what? I'll do that too. Plus I'm the cook. He lost 20 pounds. His skin cleared up to the point where men at work, and we're both 50, men at work, younger and older than him, said, dude, what are you doing why are you looking younger and not older? His skin cleared up. You would get these little eczema type dots and things. It almost looks like he got Botox. He lost 20 pounds, even though he was still like 210 pounds or so. And he always worked out, so he's muscular, but it just dropped that fat that at our age just climbs on your body no matter what you're trying to do sometimes, especially his body build. I think it's his build too. 20 pounds, his skin cleared up. Men, especially of all walks of life, asking why he's looking younger. Definitely better focus, better sleep. His cholesterol is good. His A1C is great, which I can attribute to keto, but carnivore just to me and to him takes it over the edge. And we're trying to convince everybody who will listen to us, but we have to stop at some point because, you know, you're called an evangelist or crazy, or you're going to die because you're going to die from high cholesterol and have a heart attack tomorrow. So we temper it, but we only like to talk about it because we want other people to be healthy too, or be healthier, or as healthy as they can be. Hey, just do it 3 nights a week or 3 days a week. Start there. You know, you don't have to go cold turkey. I mean, I will do anything to help somebody more from keto even into carnivore if they would let me. They want to, Dave. They just can't because it is hard. No one's going to lie and say that it's easy to do.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I feel that this diet is very, very well suited to my personality because I have this kind of all or nothing personality. You know, this everything's cold turkey. You know, kind of if you give up smoking, it's got to be cold turkey. I can't cut down. I'm either a smoker or I'm not a smoker. That kind of thing.
Right.
And so you know, I think it's very well suited to your personality. And if you don't have that personality, I think it's a real big change, or it's a bigger change than otherwise would be.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
think too, I have one friend, my lifelong friend. He went keto because he's like, my hands are numb, my feet are numb. I'm like, it's the freaking sugar. Stop. And he finally did it. He's like, you're right. I feel so much better. Oh my God. And he lost weight. His skin was beautiful. He always has nice skin. But then he fell off the wagon. And he's like, I'm tired. I know you're right, Nancy. I know you're right. I got to do it. It's almost like, Dave, the food addiction overpowers people, even at the cost of their own health. And it makes me really mad that the food that we eat, whether you think you're eating healthy or you just admit you're a junk food eater, it's just not conducive to the human body.
And a lot of this stuff, I think it's probably more insidious than alcohol. And that, like, you know, I shouldn't be doing this. I should not be doing this. But you just can't stop.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like me and a bag of Doritos. That's my favorite snack. I admit it. I would house the whole bag myself and then still be hungry. Eat. And now I can look at a Dorito. I'm like, it's all right. Yeah. But it doesn't even excite me anymore, I think, because we've depleted our bodies full of all that junk. In my opinion, I feel like there's a strong correlation because I could eat the whole bag of Doritos before, even on keto. They're keto.
So let's
right? They're keto.
So let's say that you go to a house party or something and there's someone sitting next to you and they're chatting to you about their recent vacation or whatever, and they're just, as they're talking, they're shoving the Doritos in their mouth, and they're sitting there with whatever favorite drink you used to drink. Would you be able to just look at that and go, I feel nothing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've done it. I live at graduation parties. I'm like, well, I've noticed there might be one carnivore-ish thing to eat, like a pulled pork, right? Or a pulled beef. And it might have not the oils that I would like to eat, but I always remember even Dr. Chafee has to give it up sometimes and eat what's given to him, even if it's carnivore, right? It could be the meat and it may not be the oils that he wants, but you can't always say, I won't eat anything. And usually I'll eat before I go anywhere, even a wedding.
Yeah.
Just to avoid that.
That's the best plan, right? Just kind of stock up and Mm.
Yes. And one thing that for me, I am now looking down the path of getting let me get the correct, integrative nutrition certification, because as I finally feel like I know what I'm interested in when I grow up, what I want to be when I grow up, this whole health path and listening to testimonies from people from keto into carnivore, I'm just completely, yes, an evangelist that I would get the certification and help people that maybe couldn't afford to have somebody give them a consultation for free. Because when I go to the grocery store or the big box stores and I see people that are 35 years old that can barely walk and they have soda hanging off the sides of their cart, and everything inside of their cart is a box or a bag, and I don't even see a fruit. I'll even be like, a little berry maybe will be okay for you. Hey, how about take a vitamin even? Nothing. And
Mm.
I feel terrible. And it's not a judgment thing. I feel terrible that they're putting that in their body and they're dying before my eyes. I want to throw my
Mm.
body in front of their cart and say, please stop.
Mm.
So that's
So
my next plan.
do you have to kind of hold yourself back in those moments because you actually feel like walking up to someone and saying, "Look, there's something you need to know."
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
You're right, Dave. Do you have those moments at all?
Um, I I'm living in Japan, so it's probably not as bad. Things are getting
Mm-hmm.
worse, but yeah, occasionally I've seen people walking along that, they've got kind of the edemas and stuff on their legs, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like he's he's got diabetes,
Yeah.
and carrying his shopping, and you look at the shopping, I just want to
Yeah.
tell him, but
Yeah.
I
I
mean, no
know.
one's going to listen to you here anyway because it's always going. I can't give up my rice and stuff like that,
Right. Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true. And a lot of the those countries now that used to be are the healthiest in the world, right? The rice, even in India, according to some research, now the type 2 diabetes is on the rise. And
mm,
maybe our bodies just can't handle it anymore.
yeah, and I think part of the problem is a lot of these countries that previously would have done okay, like
Hmm.
Japan included, they're importing the worst from the West as well now, right? So
Yeah.
they've got kind of the bad parts of their own diet, and now they're importing the worst from the West, and it's
Hmm.
just like everything's going to get out of control.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
agree.
on that point,
Hmm.
you're really obviously quite focused on, you know, this really interests you, right? And you've mentioned you feel like an evangelist for this. So, like, where do you think this is going?
For me personally, or as a lifestyle?
Oh no, just like generally speaking, for the world population, are we gonna get to a point where people are going to eventually, is it just slowly everyone waking up, or is it we're going to just get to a crisis, and there's going to be some event where we need to make a change?
Mhm.
What do you think?
I think we're at a crisis point, but the crisis hasn't been honestly communicated to society. And I mean, in probably almost every country, any civilized country that has a McDonald's needs to be told that this is not a sustainable food source, period.
Mm,
So I
mm,
do believe we're at a crisis, given, again, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher, but I have been doing nothing but read about health, listen to health, or my true crime, of course. It's a balance. It's a balance. But it makes me cringe when I hear the real statistics from the real scientists and the real doctors that we all follow and we read with. And I feel like it's a lie by omission, where we're not being told the truth. And the commercials, okay, we can blame marketing, but they're there to make money. I get that. But I don't hear anybody in the health community, and I won't use the acronyms, all of our global or American health societies and organizations saying, no, when there is a crisis, we shouldn't dump off 20-pound bags of rice. We need to dump off 20 pounds of chicken even. Throw a cow. Bless the little cow and everything. Thank goodness for them. But no one's admitting that this is not a sustainable way of living. And I truly believe it's about money. I do. Pharmaceutical, food, etc.
I think, that's got to be the root thing, just because otherwise people in these associations are just stupid. And I don't believe that everyone's stupid, because it's like the way they operate is the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And
Yes.
I don't like, these people are educated. They've probably worked in other fields and all that kind of thing. And so it has to be money.
Yes, has to be money. And even when I was diagnosed with the pre-diabetes and I look at the American Diabetic Association and I'm looking, and my mom's a retired nurse, so I know all the places to go, and I'm looking, and I'm like, why would I eat that? When I know that a cup of rice is just as much or equal to a Coca-Cola. Why would I eat that? Well, you tell me to eat right. So logically, I don't care who wants to say, oh, Nancy, Dave, you guys are crazy. What's crazy is that you have highly educated people and or very common sense people that maybe never went past high school that can just do basic math and look at a triangle equals high blood sugar equals disease. That doesn't take a Harvard degree. You don't have to be. It doesn't make sense.
It takes basic logic, right?
Oh
That's the thing.
Yes. So, I have a lot of friends and family that really are worried, right? But at the same time, I think in a way they respect the fact that I'm putting my foot down and saying, I don't care. You do what you do. Good luck with that. As everybody's pale and anxious and unhealthy and tired and taking handfuls of pills, I refuse to. I could drop dead tomorrow, Dave. Trust me. I could drop dead tomorrow and somebody said, it's because of the way you ate. But I'm going down fighting. I'm not going to be there. I'm not doing it. And I don't want anybody I care about to do that either.
So if, let's say someone came to you and said, look, the way you are eating is going to, like, some educated doctor, professor, whatever, came to you and said that the way you're eating definitely going to kill you. And they could show you evidence that it's going to kill you. Do you think you would change, or do you think you would stick to what you're doing?
It depends on the evidence that they wanted to show me. I would then research the evidence. I wouldn't just take it at face value. I would respect that doctor had my best interest at heart. But I also know from all of my research that there's been studies that aren't accurate or falsified or from the pocket of the sugar industry or from the medical or the pharmaceutical industry who sponsored it. So I think I answered your question, Dave, but I would still question the evidence. And I've said in the recent past, I will never go back. I will never go back. It just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to eat bread and rice unless I were on an island and had no choice, honestly. And I couldn't fish. And there was no coconuts. I'd live off a coconut before I'd live off of bread, right?
I kind of feel the same way. And I feel myself, this is the best I've ever felt. Why would this be hurting my body?
Right.
It makes no sense. Even things that do hurt your body that make you feel good, those things are only temporary feelings of, like, when you drink alcohol or something like that. At the end of the day, it's damaging your body. And there are consequences, this is a consistent feeling of wellness.
Yes.
It's not highs and lows.
Yes,
So
completely.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
know that even hormonally, even my whole past medical history, when I look at it, I say, oh my gosh, again, based on research, how the sugar creates a something that can create a cyst, can create a fibroid. I had a partial hysterectomy, TMI, Dave. But I believe looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have known then what I know now. And we're only
Mm.
talking a few years ago, right?
Mm.
If I would have known even about keto, I bet those fibroids would have shrunken and I wouldn't have had to have another surgery. I
Mm.
mean, I'm cut up from here to here.
Mm.
It's like, and I look at it, I'm like, why am I the only one cut from here to here at this age? And I have to believe it's the food or something we're putting in our bodies. So I'm really hanging my hat on this as I move into my past my 50s, and my husband too, to stay healthy, avoid the middle-aged crisis that we all are supposed to have. I haven't researched that part of it yet, even for men. What benefits will the carnivore diet do except for raise testosterone? I don't know. I haven't gotten that far, but that's my next step of research that I'm going to do.
Mm. And speaking of getting older,
Mhm.
how has as you've been on this 6 months, what
Mhm.
has happened with your energy levels as far as do you feel like you are doing more exercise naturally or is it about the same?
I would say more exercise naturally, because we do have a home gym in the basement, which we did use religiously. Then once we went carnivore, we coincidentally said, let's plant some trees and things like that in the backyard. So all summer, our exercise has been yard work. And trust me, I'm sore. I mean, sore. It's hard work. And a lot of the times my husband works crazy hours, so I do a lot of it myself. Fill up a wheelbarrow, right? Bring the wheelbarrow to the back, dump it. Use all of your hands and arms and legs to try to pull it out and pat it down at the same time. So I'm like doing acrobatics all at the same time. So I'm stretching, right? That's a good thing. But like I said earlier, he and me, 10 hours at a time in the yard. I can't even drag myself inside. I'm like, I don't want to sit inside. It's beautiful out. I might be
Mm.
hot, but I don't want to be inside to do what? Other
Mm.
than listen to my true crime and my health channels and my carnivore channels, which I can do from my phone while I'm doing yard work. I just don't want to sit in the house. I don't want to sit at my desk for work half the time. I want to stand up.
Mm.
It's annoying. It annoys people, my energy level. It really is. It's annoying. Like, let's go now.
And so what kind of work do you do?
I am currently a consultant, mostly business processes, operations, training, adoption. And I know you have a training career yourself, Dave. So we're
Hmm.
peeps. Deep down, we're
Yeah,
peeps.
yeah, yeah.
um,
I thought we may have something in common when you were talking about the slides before. So
yeah, oh,
yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So right now I'm an independent consultant, but I am working. My new customer happens to be my previous employer, so mostly technology companies is who I've been working for the last 20 some years.
Ah, nice. Where is this going to go for you in the future? Do you see yourself as carnivore for life at this point?
Yes, I will be carnivore for life.
Mm.
If I get senile, God forbid, because I shouldn't, right, on carnivore, right?
Mm.
God forbid something happen, even an accident, and I can't help it, and somebody has to feed me. My medical directive will say low carb at a
Mm.
minimum, right? Because I don't think keto is the end of the world. I don't think it's the best of the world either. But please don't put carbs in my body. Please don't. You're going to kill me faster. And if I can be somewhat alert and somewhat mobile on my own and somewhat independent, please don't do that to me. I wouldn't do
Mm.
it to my worst enemy.
Nancy, thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing your journey.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Had a great time. Anytime. I love talking about it. I had to keep myself quelled a little bit, but I could get really angry really fast about a lot of this stuff to help motivate others too.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.